Hello, and welcome to Sacred Mindshift Circle. And today we have a wonderful guest. Her name is Nicla Diceglie, and she is a biophilic designer and consultant. She is the founder of Nicla D Interiors, and after experiencing the healing power of nature and color in her own life, has founded Nicla D Interiors to help others create bold biophilic spaces that support happiness, health, and personal growth. Nicla helps people turn their homes into joyful, nature inspired sanctuaries, spaces that heal, energize, and reflect who they truly are. Welcome, Nicla. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me, Dalia. I'm very well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here today.
So, tell me a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a career in interior design and how did you get started in that field?
Well, I'm originally from Italy, so I've always been surrounded by great design, architecture, and always been passionate about design and architecture. So after a career in the corporate as project manager, at some point I really decided I want to follow my heart, and I retrained as interior designer. So that was how I started, and then I actually specialized in biophilic design and color psychology, which led me to create my own practice based on what I call bold biophilic design. So it's been a sort of natural progress in my career, also because like the skills of project management are really useful in this job. So that's how I started, really.
Yeah, and in general, this is something that I feel like I did another podcast in the past where a woman was explaining how a long time ago, this is just something that's kind of natural, but now it's picking up more, and people are recognizing the benefits of this type of design, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I think the big turning point is been the pandemic, where everyone was forced to be indoor and everyone was really missing the connection with nature. So if you remember, what everyone was doing is like creating these vertical gardens indoor, buying plants. Everyone like started to bring nature in a way or another indoor, and people suddenly realized how important the environment where they're working and living was for their mental and physical well-being. So that's, I think, where it's been the shift in design and also in people's mind. But at the same time, we've become also more aware of issues like sustainability, wellness in design. And there is a lot of also scientific research backing up um, the positive benefit of biophilic design on people's well-being. So it's a mix of all these things, cultural shift, more awareness when it comes to well-being, the pandemic. So it's been like a blend of a big lifestyle change, I would say.
Okay. And for me, for example, I always use the example of where I live now, and I'm in France and I live in Agde. And if anyone's ever been to Agde, it's absolutely beautiful because you walk down the streets and there are flowers everywhere on every bushes, hanging on trees. I feel like it's something I've not really seen in another area. So when I know the feeling I feel when I'm walking down the street, and it's not even that it's inside, just the concept of seeing greenery, of seeing flowers, of seeing these colors around you, and it makes you feel safe. It makes you feel a sense of calm. Tell me, in your opinion, and from what you've seen, how incorporating this into interior design helps people's mindset and energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you think back in the time, we were just one thing with nature. We were living in nature. Before the Industrial Revolution, life was so different. People were living in the countryside. I always say we are nature. So with the with the moving from the countryside to the city, we kind of disconnected from it. But we are nature. So what I've seen is that the modern lifestyle has created this lack of belonging to nature because we spend 89% of our time indoor. Think about we work in the office, we go to the gym, we go to a restaurant. The contact with nature is reduced. So introducing biophilic design and nature in different ways into an interior, it's really important. It can be done in different way. What you were saying, for example, I walk around in my space, I see flowers, I see bushes, I see trees. That's what we call technically in biophilic design direct contact with nature. But indoor you can recreate that as well indirectly with, for example, um, painting, landscape painting, where you can see some nature environment, or you can introduce plants. But it's not just that. It's just like the idea is to recreating the feeling, how you feel in nature indoor, because as human being, that's what we were made for. We were made to live in nature, not to live indoors, sitting like 10, 12 hours a day. That's not how we were made, how we were programmed as human being. But obviously, the modern life has changed this. So the way this affect our mental well-being, it's crucial because if we introduce natural element indoor, it's kind of okay, we can't spend time outside, but at least we can reconnect with nature in some ways. And that, for example, in my case, I like to introduce bold colors, nature inspired color palette. There is an indirect connection to nature. My brain respond to that in a way, depending as well on what colors we use. For example, in home office, I would recommend colors like yellow, orange. Why? Because in color psychology, these color are color that uplift and energize you, while in a space where you need to rest, like a bedroom, I would recommend calm color like green, like blue, because the effect they have on our brain is to relax us. So that's how I try to replicate the feeling good in nature indoor. Don't know if this answer your question.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you started off saying how, in general, like it affects our brains, and there have been studies that shown that obviously, when this kind of like biophilic design is implemented in certain places, also it helps with concentration. Like you said, it helps with maybe calming some sensations of anxiety. So the same way you said, you come into, because you said you use color psychology also to determine where you would place certain colors. So give me an
Yeah.
example, because I've seen a lot of remodeling videos where biophilic designers, they get a house and it looks very plain, and then, you see the radical transformation after they've implemented these things. So when you walk into an environment, how do you get your ideas necessarily? Like, how do you know? Do you have to ask the clients questions about themselves, or how do you know what to put and which, items to select for them?
Yeah, well, basically, it's really important to talk to the client. I normally have like a consultation where I get to know them, I get to understand what they like or what their color preference are, for example, and how they use the space, how they're gonna use the space. So that's really important for me because the way they're gonna use the space determine the layout of the space, what furniture we're gonna put in, but also the colors. Like a great example, I'm working with clients now in London where their house basically they use mainly gray. And I asked them, I said, why gray? And their answer was like, we didn't dare using any other color. We don't know how to use color. I said, but what color do you like? And surprisingly, they love bold colors. I mean, I can show you, like I'm working on this project now. They really went for this vibrant orange. Like they really do love bright colors, but they didn't know how to use it. So it's important to understand what they like, what they dislike, first of all, how they're going to use the space. And based on that, I come up with a color palette. I normally I take my inspiration from nature. So for example, I'm combining this vibrant orange with the dark green, another shade of green, and at the moment I'm focusing on a porch, so on the entrance really of the house, and I wanted to create a welcoming space that has also wow factor. So we are painting the wall with this vibrant orange, but I don't like using color in an overwhelming way. I prefer to use block of colors. I don't know if you heard of it. So block of colors is used to define a zone in a space or to add a touch of color, but not in a very overwhelming way as it could be painting the entire walls in orange. So I'm gonna paint two-thirds of the wall with this vibrant orange, and the last third at the top is gonna be a neutral white. So it's gonna be this orange and white, for example. So that's how I come up with ideas, but at the base is really understanding what the client wants and like, and then how they're gonna use the space. For example, their kitchen is gray, total gray. They don't like it, so then I'm gonna come up with some bright color, and I too do take in account as well the light uh, that comes into the space, because that affect the color, how the color is going to look like. So their kitchen is west facing, so they're going to have a very warm, saturated light in the afternoon, while maybe it's a bit darker in the morning because the light is on the other side. So I try to understand what time of the day do you use this space more. And obviously, it's more at lunchtime, afternoon, evening. So that's gonna inform my choice of color as well. So there is a lot, because people think like, oh, okay, I just picked this color, I just picked the other color because I like it. But actually, no, there is a study behind it. How the people are gonna use the space, what time of the day they're gonna use the space. If they are the orientation of the room is west, south, north, the light change a lot depending on where the sun goes and what time of the day appears. So it's a lot of information you need to base your color choices, for example.
And normally, who would you say are mostly your clients? I mean, I think biophilic design is something, like you said, is not that simple per se, because there is a bit of a science to it, and making sure that you I guess blend everything together in a specific way. But normally, who are your clients? Are they usually people who are trying to uplift themselves, or are they just doing it just to design, or is it that they want some kind of change? Are they feeling like they're in a rut? What kind of clients normally come to you, and what do they say?
Yes, usually our professional couple, they're really busy. Most of the time, they have young children or teenager, so they're going through some change in the family. The kids have grown, they want to update the house, or the kids are leaving the house, and most of them are really conscious of their health and well-being. So I had recently another client in London that she asked for everything non-toxic, non-toxic paint, non-toxic fabric. She was really conscious of it. And she said, I don't know where to go, where to start. And said, there is so many information out there. I don't know if I'm going to make the right choice. So most of the time are people that are time poor as well, and they can't spend hours searching for what they want. So they appoint an interior designer. They come to me because they don't have time, they don't have the experience, they don't have the ideas, or they simply like the last client. They, as I said, they have more or less the house in gray, but they loved color and they didn't know how to use color, what color to choose, and they didn't want to use color and then regret it, maybe having to spend the double of money because they chose something, they didn't like it, they have to do it again. So they rather make it done by a professional. And I usually work, it's a sort of collaboration. I never impose my idea, my style, or anything. It's a collaboration. We work together. We have like maybe a weekly call where I show them what I've done, my thoughts, and I share information, and then we come to the final design together. So I love to collaborate with them because most of the time some people say, I don't like what the designer has done. That's because they never collaborate with him, with the designer. So I think the other crucial part is they're conscious of their well-being, and they're conscious of sustainability as well. So they want to use natural material, they want to use non-toxic material, and yeah, they have to love color because I define myself bold biophilic designer because I do think that color have a great impact on our mental well-being. So it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I don't like overwhelming spaces either. But I think for me and for my client, like totally neutral space feel a bit draining, feel a bit clinical, a bit sad, I would say. So this client want joy, want happiness, want energy in their houses, and that's I think why they come to me.
Normally, or in general, do you think that your cultural background has anything to do with your style or the way you apply all of these techniques in your interior designing?
Totally. Yes. As I said at the beginning, I'm originally from Italy, from the south of Italy, from Puglia. And obviously, it's really warm. We spend a lot of time outdoor, hence my connection with nature as well, because I've always been like a wild kid. I remember summer spent in the countryside house where honestly, I probably had only a t-shirt on, no shoes. I was walking barefoot on the, or, in the countryside. So I'm kind of a wild kid at heart, and coming from a Mediterranean country, we do love colors, but at the same time we do use white a lot because of the temperature. Excuse me, because of the temperature, white is one of the colors, the main color. However, we do tend to use white as a background, but we use a lot of bold colors as well in interiors. Or if you look outside, the gardens are full of bold colored flowers. The bougainville is one, for example, this amazing fuchsia, orange. So I must admit, when I moved to England, I lived there, I was um, I was using a lot of darker color. And in the northern countries, I think light is important because the light is normally more like colder. It's not as warm as the southern countries. And you tend to create interiors that are really cozy and embrace nearly the darkness of the spaces. Like on my website, there is a totally blue drenched bedroom. And that's why because like my client is essentially wanted a cocooning space, the darker color, I think a lot of people think they make the space feel claustrophobic. They feel the space. There is this idea they make the space feel smaller. It's absolutely not true. It's the way you use the color that change the space. For example, this bedroom was a small bedroom, Everything was painted, drenched in dark blue, including skirting boards, ceiling, walls, radiator, doors. And that way, the space enlarged because there were no delimitation, let's say, to the room. So when I design, it depends a lot on where the client is based because the choice of material, the choice of color, are affected by it. Like probably I wouldn't use velvet that much in a country, in a very hot country. I would use color, texture or fabric like cotton, linen, lighter fabric. While in England, I use a lot of velvet because usually it's a colder country, so you need more of a coziness. So to answer your question briefly, absolutely my origins and my background affect the design, but also is where the client is based that affect the design style as well.
Now, as a biophilic interior designer, tell me what are the challenges? Because so far we've spoken of all of the positive things. Are there any challenges?
Yes, there are absolutely. One of the challenges that a lot of people don't know what biophilic design means or is, and they kind of are a bit surprised or nearly scared, like, okay, this is too complicated. So sometimes when I have the first conversation with them, I need to explain what biophilic design is, what the benefits are, and usually I say it's all about connecting with nature. I make it really simple, like saying biophilia comes from Latin, which means love of nature or of living beings and nature especially. And so the design is like trying to incorporate nature indoors. So I try to explain what it is. That's one crucial part. And the other thing is there are clients or there are people that think that biophilic design is just about plants. Say, oh yeah, tell me what plants you use here. Oh yeah, it's all about plants. Well, it's the first step, I would say. I would recommend, yes, start with that, introduce plants in your space. However, it's not just that. There is the material you use, there is the colors you use. It's about the ventilation of the house. It's about the temperature of the house. It's about the light. It's really consider everything we have in nature to translate and all of that indoor. So it's not just about plant. Because, for example, when you go in an environment that you feel at ease, you feel nice, why is it? For example, you go in the wood, you feel nice because you're surrounded by greens, by trees, but also because of the temperature. Maybe in a hot day, over there is much fresher, it's cooler, so you feel better. And it's about the light. The light affect a lot how you feel. So biophilic design is not just about plant, and that's one of the main issue that I have to face when working with clients that don't know what it is. But once you explain to them, they totally embrace it. They was like, oh yeah, of course, it makes sense. So I think that's one of the biggest challenge. The second challenge could be sometimes the budget, because unfortunately, I have to say that if you want non-toxic material, non-toxic paint, at the moment, these are still a bit more expensive than the usual material, the usual paint. Budget could be another factor, could be another challenge. Yeah.
So I know you also have a course that you have online. So imagine
Yeah.
if someone wanted to start from somewhere. They said, okay, I just want to do something to begin to add a little bit more colors. Like you said, it's not only plants, because I also used to think that maybe they just add more plants. No, but if they say, okay, but how many plants? What should I do? What would you suggest? How do they start? And maybe explain a little bit about your course that you do.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, start small but meaningful. And obviously, one of these is ways to bring plants in your space and be careful. look for plants that thrive in the light condition that you have in your space, because light is very important for plants. Something very easy could be to open up a window in a space that maybe is a bit dark, because the let natural light in has a big effect on our circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is basically what controls our awake and sleepy patterns. So natural light is very important, because that's what help us to wake up and to you slowly drift to sleep in the evening. Then play with the natural texture. Use a lot of wood, linen, cotton, stone, or a material I love is cork. For example, nowadays there is cork flooring, which is amazing. And don't be afraid of color. Don't think that color are or overwhelming, or color are not elegant, because there is this misconception that you live in an elegant house has to be neutral, has to be beige. I'm part of the band beige uh, group. Like, it's not true, because if you use the color in the right proportion in your house, and it can create really elegant, sophisticated spaces and add like a wow factor. So don't discard completely the color, and ask yourself, this is a crucial question: how do I want my space to make me feel? How do you want to feel in that space? The living room is a space you use to welcome friends, watch movies, parties, or it's maybe more of a snug space where you want to relax, listen to music, read the book. That will guide your choice as well. So doesn't have to be a total renovation of your house, but with these little changes that we will already change the space completely. And as you were mentioning, my course, I start with teaching what biophilic design is, and gave a bit of the science behind it, because it's quite important to understand how it works, and to the experiment that's been done to prove the biophilic design has a lot of benefit for our mental and physical well-being. But then I teach how to use color, what color to use on each room, how to pick, for example, plants, what plants to put in each space, the material, what material you can go. There are a lot of as well professional talks from other people they invited. They maybe are expert in aromatherapy, for example. And it's both for interior designer, but also for just people that want to improve the space that they live, like interior enthusiasts. So it's a bit for everyone. So yes, I would definitely, if you're willing to change something in your home and embrace biophilic design, and you love color, I would definitely recommend. Or please feel free to contact me and ask question about the course. I will be really happy to answer it.
Well, thank you so much, Nicla, for coming on the show and joining me and explaining this to my audience, because I think it's very important. There are a lot of people out there that sometimes these little changes can help them a lot, especially like if you have people who maybe are going through issues emotionally, depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
or they just want something different, just to feel, like you said, connected to nature, connected, and see the light come into their home and feel a little bit more uplifted. So I will definitely link all of these courses and your website in the podcast description. And if anyone would like to have any more information or be up to date with any more podcasts that we'll be doing in the future, make sure you subscribe to sacredmindshift.com. And thank you, and see you next time. God bless. Bye bye, Nicla.
Thank you very much, Dalia. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye bye.